Alright guys, what's going up? It's Hype Headphones here, and this is the Bang&Olufsen H6. So it's one of the most respected pairs of closebacks out of consumer headphones, and here we've got the chestnut version. Looking good. Got that kind of copper colour accent. See if we can get that on the camera. Pretty nice, right? But we're not looking at that, because there is a man who thought he could make his own version, and may have been looking for these for like 8 years. Iron Man. It's not Iron Man. So in case you can't tell from this bit on top, these are DJ Khaled edition Bang&Olufsen H6s. But what caught my eye is not just the Iron Man colouring, it's also that these aren't the same as these. They're actually tuned differently. The DJ Khaled ones have some more bass, they're a more consumery sound. They claim it's a more DJ sound. I'd say more consumery, maybe good for DJs. We'll let Khaled be the judge of that. But he stuck his name on them, however much work he put into them, you know, like his other stuff. His name's on it. I think they're funny, but I haven't found them for like 8 years, but they're here. The cable was broke, so that shouldn't affect the sound. It's Bang&Olufsen cable still. So from the build quality standpoint, these are about the same. The only thing is this red plastic bit here. That's kinda bad, not going to lie. It's kinda not showing up on the camera. It looks fine on the camera, but you might be able to tell there. It kinda looks like Lego. It looks like some cheap plastic. On the originals, I think it's just the same, but it's just that because it's a more muted colour, you don't really notice. The colour kind of blends into the headphone better. But on these guys, it kind of looks a bit like a red toy. That's a way better angle of it, you can kind of see it there. So not what you'd want on like $300, $400 headphones. They did originally come with a long coil cable, but we're stuck with this one because that broke, so you know. So all about comfort, well, these are the same pads. This bit's the same. They're really comfortable. Like on your head, you are not gonna notice these at all. But seeing as they do sound different, let's check what the differences are, if I can notice them. So as our sound source, we're gonna be using this Shanling UA1 little USB adapter. It's fantastic, it's like £40. It's so powerful that a lot of my in-ears and things, I have the volume at 5 or 6, it's kind of ridiculous. Just a 3.5 to USB-C, this is the world we live in. And we're just going to plug that up. And our headphones. So for our actual listening, we're going to be using Qobuz. I'm going to go through some songs I like to start with, this Nothing But Thieves album, have some variety, and we'll see if we can really notice the stuff going on with it. One listening session later. Alright, so we're done comparing on the first song, and it's an upbeat rock song, and what I will say, guitars sounded better on this. The sort of background guitar going through the chorus when it hits hard, this hits harder. But at the same time, vocals on this, the sort of high instruments, stuff in background, way better on these. These sounded veiled, they sounded a bit muffled. These ones definitely got the detail a bit more. These had more texture in the low notes, the guitar hits from the sort of distorted electric guitar. These definitely represented that stuff better. But these ones definitely out of detail. However, I would say for this song, I'd actually prefer these because it's more exciting, it's more engaging. It's just like a more fun sound to listen to for more upbeat stuff. But I did kind of miss the vocals, so I guess we'll try having a more vocal focused thing. Some more laid back song, and we'll see how that goes. One listening session later. So the song we just played was Lover Please Stay by Nothing But Thieves, same band as before. Now this is a very vocal focused song with just a very light guitar in the background. sort of backing up, so there's not really much bass going on, and I think that's what gave this surprising result for this song. So firstly, we'll point out a really cool feature. So this headphone is actually wired into the other one. This is the same cable, and then I've also got it wired up here to the source. You can daisy chain the cable from one to the other. You can also plug it into either side. It just passes through and goes there, and then the right things go to the right speakers. So a very noticeable thing off the bat is these need far less power than these. These are way louder for the same volume than these ones. So these would actually be better for mobile use. But that would actually make them worse for DJ use, because that probably means these have less resistance. Or just more sensitivity, but I'm pretty sure these have less resistance. And I guess actually they're using the same drivers and cable, so maybe it's just the sensitivity. But that would still make them usually worse for your DJ stuff, because you want them to be a bit less sensitive and have a bit more resistance to your source, especially with an interface like this, because this has quite high output resistance. Also there's lots of noise, so that can affect it. So that actually makes these kind of probably a bit worse for DJing, but the sound quality probably makes up for that. You don't need the best detail, but it does make them worse for like kind of studio-y stuff. But in this particular song, these sounded more natural on the vocals. These sounded more like I was listening to just the recording of the guy with reverb on his microphone, whereas these kind of hid some of that detail. But then I could also hear the guitar detail a bit more on these. Like sometimes it'll get lost in the vocals on the Khaled edition. So it's kind of a toss-up, it's just more which flavour you prefer for this one. But weirdly, these are actually better for vocals on this song. So I think it's, if there's not a strong low-end presence, these can actually eke a bit more detail from some of the high notes, because they're probably a bit high boosted as well. But sort of these are more balanced, so you'll get more detail across the range and things don't cross over each other as much. Like having one thing playing doesn't reduce the quality of the other parts playing as much as it does on these ones. There's just some kind of interference. And that makes sense because it's kind of got a port for the bass notes to carry on going a bit longer, get a bit louder. But yeah, for a vocal focus song that doesn't have a lot of low end stuff going on, these kind of sounded more natural. That was surprising. So the last thing we're going to focus on is pop songs. So I guess I should listen to a DJ Khaled song, but I don't know if I want to subject myself to that. So I might just listen to Bad Guy, Billie Eilish. That's like fun, electric, gets going. I think that would be a good comparison to really see if these are tuned better for that stuff than these. One listening session later. They both suck. On Billie Eilish Bad Guy, I mean, they don't suck. Like, if you gave these to most people, they'd sound amazing. I think I kind of prefer these, even though they sounded a bit thin. And that's just because the bass was just too much. There was just too much bass. It was ridiculous. It just felt like my head was rattling. I mean, this is a bassy song, but that just shows these, if there is some bass line going in a song and it's already bassy, these are just like an earthquake in your head. They're just a soft, sibilant whisper with too much highs compared to the lows. I think this song is already tuned that way anyway, like it's mixed that way. But there were some scratchy sounds that were really doing my head in when I was listening to that song. So I don't know if that's just I don't know how the song is mixed. I think it sounds good through my speakers, which are some iLoud micros. But damn, that was disappointing. So for some bass-heavy pop song, I wouldn't take either of these. They're just kind of the opposite tuning of each other. It's like this one has too little low end, and I think too much focus on the other bits. But it sounds overall, like, don't get me wrong, these both sound really good still. These don't have some of the stuff these do on songs with some low end but not loads, so I'd actually prefer these a lot of time. Probably travelling I'd prefer these, because they're easier to drive at higher volumes and the bass kind of compensates some bass loss you get on public transport. Like some of that can get drowned out by the noises around you. I think I prefer these ones overall because you get more detail, and when there is low end, it makes it soft, but it's still listenable. You can still get the vibe of what's going on. These are just too much. They're like beats. It's just too much. So overall, I'd actually say I wouldn't recommend either of these for pop songs. This is like just bad. It just sounds kind of bad. It sounds bloated when there's too much bass stuff going on. So maybe it was something a bit softer like Coldplay. Maybe, but then I'd prefer these because you get more detail. So I guess I'd still take these because I prefer the detail. But then these were a bit sibilant on that Billie Eilish song, bit scratchy sounds. Overall, DJ Khaled headphones. The thing is, these are still made by Bang&Olufsen. Bang&Olufsen has still made audio for ages. They still sound like really good. I don't know if they sound their price good, but considering they like look like this, branded with like collaboration with an artist, and they're similar price to these, I don't think they're that bad a choice. They're definitely way better than Beats that were out in like 2014. But they're not wireless, they're just wired. I like the daisy chain thing. They're easy to drive, so good for mobile use. But I don't know, they just kind of look a bit cheap with this red. So what do you think? Would you buy these DJ Khaled headphones? I don't think you should if you're a DJ. They do definitely still sound really good. I think most of you would like them. But I'd definitely choose these for detail. So yeah, I guess that's my conclusion. If there's any other headphones you want me to try, like maybe some collaboration stuff, then recommend it down below. If not, I'll see you in the next one. This is Hype Headphones, out.